Won't you pray with me? Father in heaven, we come grateful for your love towards us. And as we come seeking you, we ask now that you would bless us, cover us, keep us, and ask that you would fill us, that we might be prepared for the places that you will send us. This we ask in your name. Amen. The closing words of the gospel encourage us to be rich toward God. And let me say this morning that I look forward to being in worship, and I have a unique appreciation for those who will gather each and every opportunity that we have to gather for worship. As I lifted in the early service this morning, I know that those who were present at 8 a.m. did not end up there by accident. They came with intention. Somewhere in their plans, they put it on their agenda and were prepared to be in a gathering in this place. And let me say, I think that there might be some in here at this service who you made up your mind, not just a few moments or just because you were passing by, but you made up your mind that you were going to be here this morning. You arrived here and set it on your agenda. You were here this morning as part of your commitment. You are here with some intentionality and with a sense of purpose. After a long week of experiencing joys, meeting obligations, carrying burdens, and seeking to navigate your way through moments that have been confusing, that have been disappointing, that have been disturbing, you are here with intentionality and deliberateness, bringing all of your opinions, your conclusions, and if we're honest, you're here with many questions as well. And like many of you, I'm thankful this morning to be in the company of Bishop Marianne, to have Canon Douglas here this morning. I'm grateful to be in the company of the singers and servants who are here this morning because we are all here as well with intentionality. We did not end up here by accident. We did not come to this morning, nor do we come to any morning with a casual regard for the assignment and the privilege found in serving this great gathering or serving within this sacred space. In reality, though, doing ministry means walking through difficult moments and sometimes experiencing dark seasons. I often run into some that want to portray a picture of life as being lived in perpetual sunshine. But I think there are those who, if you're honest, admit that every day is not sunshine. Every day is not just climbing mountains, and every day is not just being in the valley, but there's a mix of the two that take place. And like you, I am here this morning. I'm here after a long week of being burdened by the human struggles that we have witnessed. I'm here this morning as well, dealing with all of the struggles that we recognize that is between sometimes some who are on one side and some who are on the other. I'm here this morning witnessing the struggle as we face to live together in harmony. I'm here this morning witnessing the struggle and carrying the burdens of what it means for us to really love our neighbors. And while I would wish to be able to say, love our neighbors as ourselves, some of us struggle just to love ourselves. I'm here this morning, like many of you, wrestling with the regard that we have for the preciousness of life. I'm here this morning witnessing to the struggles that we have when we have conversations one with another or the characterization of each other. I'm here this morning dealing with the struggles about the loss of life, the violence that has taken place across this land, and even in the night that we have just passed. Sometimes it feels so pervasive. But no matter how trying the week has been, Sunday comes. The clergy here are often reminded that Sunday comes. And when I hear it, I never hear it with a sense of burden. Those that know me and know me well, that when I hear Sunday comes, I see it as an opportunity. I see Sunday as a new beginning. Sunday, the first day of the week. Sunday, a day that holds new beginnings and is filled with new opportunities and possibilities. Sunday, unlike any other day. Sunday, a day where we gather and be able to grab things that perhaps we would not pick up on any other day. Sunday, a day where we begin to see each other in ways where we may not have seen each other before. Sunday, a day where we talk about impossibilities becoming possibilities. I'm always confronted with the reality, though, that as we embrace new opportunities, as we're here seeking new doors opening and new beginnings, I am always confronted with the reality that new opportunities are, though often traveling with and keep company with new responsibilities. There are many who have gathered in this place, and if we're honest, we've come seeking for the page to turn. We're seeking to read something better. We're seeking to experience something brighter. We're seeking for us to treat each other better. We're looking for new opportunities and circumstances. But with new opportunities and circumstances come new responsibilities. And today, while you are looking for the page to turn, are you looking for something to hold on to as well? We've come hoping for the new opportunity, but for all of us, we're challenged with new responsibility. So while we're looking around at the circumstances, while we're looking around at each other, our gathering in this place is here this morning not so that we would just look around. Our real challenge is to look within. We should not be seeking new opportunities and new conditions with the intention of divorcing them from the responsibilities that have been joined together with them. And so I'm here this morning, like many of you. We're here this morning. But I'm here this morning interested in the principles and the concepts that Christ taught us. I'm interested because the principles and concepts and the truths that he shared, they have helped me. They have made a difference in my life. I'm interested because the principles and the concepts that he has taught, the truths that he has lifted, they have strengthened me. I'm interested in them this morning because they have transformed me. And I hope that I've got some who are interested in what he has to say like me. I'm interested because I know his words are able to help me or to help us with our current condition and our current reality. I don't say that just because I've heard it. I'm like many others who can say I'm saying it because I know it to be true. I must admit, though, that I'm interested because I come to this moment believing that no matter how much darkness, no matter how much confusion, no matter how much division, no matter how much heartbreak, no matter how much heartache we face throughout our life, I am convinced and know that there is a bright side somewhere. And in facing all that lies ahead, there is, as Paul would say, a more excellent way. While I'm interested, I hope you're interested in what the gospel has to say as well. Because we gather here not blind to the world around us, but aware of the realities that face us. So just like you, being human, I'm here after having had the fortune and sometimes feeling like it's the misfortune of looking around and listening to persons and constituencies posture about all that is going on, pontificating about all that has taken place. I'm here this morning carrying the burdens and trying to wrestle with the realities of all that I've heard on the news, seen in the television, have witnessed in the emails, and have received in my texts going off. I'm here this morning trying to find a way to deal with life. I'm here just like you, admittedly with human concern, but after my reflection, after reading the gospel, after being able to sit in front of it for a little while, I'm here this morning concluding that it would be to my advantage and that it would have been to my advantage to gather in this place, to spend time in this sacred space, so that I might hear another voice. I might embrace life from another perspective. I'm always one who is interested in what the Spirit is saying to the church. And I hope you're interested in hearing it as well. It has been said that you cannot control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond. And so I'm here this morning so that I can respond to what I've seen, respond to what I've heard, respond to the emotions that have welled up in me, respond to my neighbor who is in need, respond to those who are feeling here set out and tossed out and set aside. I'm here so that there would be a unique response. Being human, I have to admit, there are times, though, in order to respond, I need some help. Perhaps you're not like me, but I don't always respond in the best way. But there are some here, if you're honest, can say that you need help in your response this morning. And while I can look for help in many arenas and many sources, this morning I'm afforded the privilege to be able to look at the gospel and find some help. I am listening to the words of Jesus for my strength. I do it not because I wonder if it helps. I do it because I know it helps. I look at it because I've tried it before. I've sat down in front of it and stood in face of it. I've sat down one way, but I always get up another way. I'm interested in what the gospel has to say this morning because I'm interested in and have the desire of living better, serving better, loving better, treating folk better, helping others to be better, not to be bitter, but to be better because of the gospel. I'm here this morning not for the purpose of being able to fulfill my own self-gratification, but I'm here this morning for the purposes of transformation. And if you're honest this morning, all of us need to be transformed just a little bit more. Hopefully, there are those here who are like me, are interested in what he's telling us this morning. Too often we allow ourselves to see life only with horizontal viewpoints. We come on this morning and many of us are simply looking at the level that we're on. We get locked into viewing life from a limited perspective, and our conclusions are made because we are convinced that the horizontal view is the only view we need. In this service, I will expose, perhaps, as I said, ministry being a little bit help transparency or involving that many of you, like me, grew up in a time where you could not turn on the TV and get a perfect picture. In order to get there, you had to do some work. There was more than just the on and off button. You had here the volume button, the sound button, the vertical hold, and the horizontal hold. I know some of you don't want to admit that, but TV was work. How you saw it took some work. And there's some of us who have only a horizontal view of life. But I've come to help you this morning because there's a vertical perspective we need to get to. A vertical perspective that helps us to see the horizontal just a little bit better. We settle for horizontal living. We settle for horizontal relationship. We settle for horizontal values. But we're here this morning because we recognize that the view of the horizontal is here helped with some vertical perspective. So I remind you this morning, the entire New Testament is calling us to reach higher and to reclaim a unique profile and posture that the church ought to have, individuals ought to have, as well as we ought to have in our communities. This portion of the gospel calls us to see that we should stand up, speak up, and show up in the places that are needed. The words of Christ speak to us in order that we would become fishers of men and women and not just keepers of our own aquariums. As I read the gospel, I was both challenged and comforted. But let me say, before I leave you, I saw some light in it. I saw some hope in it. I don't mean to just tell you one side without giving you another side. And if you were listening, you heard Jesus is being confronted by two brothers who are apparently in a debate about their inheritance. They are arguing over what perhaps did not yet belong to them, but they had already concluded it was owed to them. They had conflict over who had ownership. And as one writer says, the brothers here had a horizontal view, but they needed some vertical help to see what they were missing. And I need some help this morning to see what I'm missing. And the issue here is not about ownership of possessions, but ownership by possessions. They looked only at themselves. And here this morning, we've got to wrestle with the age-old questions that get lifted from time to time that ask here, why is it that privilege is always demanding more? Why is it that privilege believes that its privilege depends upon the deprivation of those who are disprivileged? Why is it as it has been lifted? And what is it about us that makes us so devoted to the most slenderest of pronouns, I? It is what we all have to wrestle with this morning. And so I can't leave you reminding you without reminding you that when I looked at the gospel, I did see some hope. I do have faith, and I am transformed, not when I take my horizontal view. And these brothers in the Gospels were not helped just because they had a horizontal view. I'm helped because I've got a vertical view. I'm mindful that everything looks better when I just look up. Everything is helped if I just lift up my head a little bit. I can see the beauty of the heavens. I can see the hills and the mountains. I can see the clouds and the sky. I can see the stars and I can see the sun if I just look up. Life becomes clearer if I just look up. And our desire for meaningful relationships becomes stronger. Our love for each other grows deeper. Our patience and kindness becomes more powerful if you just look up. When the vertical and the horizontal are working together, something happens. And so I remind you today that there's one writer in the Old Testament that says, I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills from whence cometh my help. My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. And so I'm thankful for the Lord who is my help. And if I just look up, everything changes. When the vertical and the horizontal meet. And if you don't believe me, just look at the cross. A perfect picture of the horizontal meeting the vertical in just the right place. Just look at the cross that gives us hope over any impossibility. Just look at the cross and you can see the vertical meeting here, the horizontal, so that all who would put their faith in that might find hope even in the darkest moments. And so today, don't just look at me, look up at the cross. Look up at the cross. Don't walk by it. Don't just disregard it. Look up, because at the cross, where I first saw the light, it was there that my burdens rolled away. It was there by faith I received my sight. And now, not for what they said on TV, not because of what I heard, but because of Christ, now I am happy all the day. Amen.